Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, this is Orphanlast, and today we're going to have another tutorial on curvilinear perspective. Specifically, this tutorial is about 5-point perspective, and this is another way that you can go ahead and draw 5-point perspective. Now, if you have not watched any of my other tutorials about this topic, then shame on you. You need to actually start watching these other tutorials. Like those other tutorials on curvilinear perspective, you should watch all of them, are prerequisites to being able to understand this one. And there's basically what you see me doing right now is I'm exceeding past the circle. So the grid is going to actually cover the entire page. And this is still 5-point perspective. It's just that we are actually going to be drawing our image as a little planet. So this is how you draw your little planet. And it's extremely useful to be able to actually know how to do it. And okay, let me just undo that a little bit. Alright, so time for Speedpaint. I'm going to treat this entire circle right here, going to treat that circle right there as if it's one big 360, well, I'm zoomed out so much I can barely see it, 360 degrees, okay? So this is like I said, it's an aerial view. So if you had a camera right here and it were to rotate all the way around the circle and wind up right here again, it'd be 360 degrees right there. Okay? All of that. And one thing you need to note is this. Let me undo all that crap. One thing you need to note is this is an aerial view. Little planets are always going to be in some way used as a bit of an aerial view. There might be a little bit of wiggle room there in what I just said, but by and large, if you try to get, say, well, okay, I'm trying to, oh, there we are. Let me see if I can actually get all this stuff to cooperate. There we go. If you try to get an aerial view with your horizon line down here, you're not going to get it. You're going to get a worm's eye view. If you try to get an aerial view that way with traditional linear perspective, you're not going to get it with your horizon line there. If you try to get an aerial view with it up here, you're going to have some success. If you try to get an aerial view with it all the way up here, again, you're going to have a lot more success getting an aerial view with your horizon line up here and your third vanishing point down here. But yeah, that's just something that you should keep in mind there. So let me go ahead and delete this layer. Turn this on. What is on this layer anyways? Nothing. Nothing is on that layer. Awesome. So I'm going to lock my my grid layer, and I'm going to start drawing on it. Okay, and what I'm going to draw is something like New York City. Okay, now this is going to be a demo. I'm not going to make this into some big work of art or anything like that. It's just going to be a demo, and it's just so that you can visualize the uses, the purpose of this particular form of 5-point perspective. Okay. Okay, so I could continue drawing more detail here, more of the city here and stuff like whatever. I can go ahead and just draw a bunch of, I don't know, docks or something like that, and then just if my, oh my goodness, I considered that all one big brush stroke. Whatever. Consider those docks. Whoa, it still considers it all one big brush stroke. That's crazy. Okay. Okay, those are docks, whatever. We can see sailboats off in the distance and such like that. Yay. You know, sailboats, yay. And consider that a horizon line off towards the ocean and all that stuff. Okay, so yeah, okay, let's draw another sailboat just because, you know, we want that layer of detail, even though this is just a demo. Okay, this is just a demo. I'm already drawing a picture for you guys for the cylindrical 4-point perspective stuff. All right, I'm not gonna draw this into finer detail for you. This is something right here. So what you can see here. Let me turn off the grid. Let me turn off the grid. Come on. Okay, as soon as it turns off, that'd be wonderful. Okay, so the grid's turned off. Well, it was until it wasn't anymore. Okay, so the grid's turned off right now, and we can see we have a city that looks a lot like New York here, right? And we got a harbor. We got all this. The edge of this circle throughout this entire thing is our horizon line throughout the entire thing. What did I just do? I think I just somehow... Oh wow, I can change the size of my brush holding shift. That is bizarre. So like we can just rotate around here and see the whole horizon through here. So you may think, well, what's the whole point of this? I mean, yeah, it kind of looks kind of cool. Like we have this city in a big sphere or circle, but like, what's the point? What's the practical use of this? Well, had I actually made my horizontal, like made it so that I had all these, like, if I had made this where the grid was being constructed like with the horizontal lines going like this throughout the whole thing, and made it so that the vanishing points were out of the screen, you would be able to see a little bit more of a practical use for it. But as it stands right now, I drew it this way specifically so that, okay, I showed you 5-point perspective, okay, and it's done with a circle, not an oval or anything like that. So I don't want to like just bounce into something else and then you guys see a completely different grid. I call it 5-point perspective, but you can't visually relate to it being 5-point perspective. So I drew this as a big circle, like a big sphere. It's as if you grab that picture plane. Like, remember, it's like, hopefully this can work for me. Okay, so remember, it's like you standing right here, okay? Now, 5-point perspective was like having a cylinder, okay? Not a cylinder, it was like having a bowl. And inside of the bowl, inside of the concave portion of this bowl, the interior concave portion of it, that's your picture plane. Well, this picture plane, this form of 5-point perspective is different. What we have is the convex portion of the bowl, and you're drawing on it. And then it's almost as if you're sticking buildings on top of it and such like that. And such like that. Things can exceed past the dome, the roundness of it, such as these buildings here. You can actually see the buildings kind of exceeding past the height of the horizon line, and etc. And it looks kind of good. I mean, even as a little sketch, it looks pretty good. So let me show you what the practical use is. Let's say you're animating a 2D animation scene, and you have a superhero, and he's right here, okay? And he's a hunky-dory, funky dude, okay? And he's got the power to jump massive amounts of distances, to fall massive distances, and to jump really high. And he jumps from here to here, and then he jumps from there to here, and from there to here, and then all the way to here, and then jumps into the harbor. Okay, so there's this big splash of water, okay, and big ripple going on all over the place, okay? So he does that, and so the camera, think about camera angles, okay? So basically the scene starts out here. He jumps, and then he lands, and then he jumps, and then at this point you might want to pan out, and then he lands. And already you can see a shifting of the from here to here. You can see a shifting of the perspective. This building is coming much more towards us than, say, this building or this building. In fact, this building right here is actually kind of pointing a little bit more straight up than anything. And then so we got this camera angle. He starts to jump. Here he'd be pretty dang close to us. He'd be something like right here. You know, he'd be doing his whole diving action, you know, whatever, you know, that's him jumping and all that stuff. And then he lands, boom, and then we have a building, this building right here. This building is just, it is direct, like it's pointed almost straight to our face. Like it's if it were to continue, like for us, our head is right here. Like my head, as I'm drawing it, it is right here. So this thing looks like it's going to almost hit me on the side of my cheek, almost like a freight train, right? And then he jumps from here to here. Okay, so the perspective shifted from being from the left side to the right side, and then he jumps all the way over here. Now that is the biggest dramatic change in perspective. We might actually want to zoom in as he comes into this point. So he jumps, and then it lands here, and then jumps up, and then you might want to put an emphasis on this jump, and then he jumps up real high. If my computer will cooperate. In fact, you know what? As he lands here, you might even want to have a pan. And then he jumps, right? He jumps, boom. Alright, so like you can actually see the shifting perspective where, alright, with one background, you're able to do a lot of stuff. So like, you can rotate it even more. So it's like, boom. So we literally go, in this one picture, we literally go from one horizon right here to this horizon down here. You get that, right? You see that, right? Now the first time I saw this technique used was used in an anime. Now of course, inside of the anime, they drew the 5-point perspective grid as a big oval. Okay? The thing is, like the vertical lines and such like that, like I don't really worry about the vertical lines. I go ahead and I just draw a normal circle. As soon as it goes ahead and draws the normal circle, and I just go ahead and continue with my vertical lines, let them do their thing. And I make sure that they're pretty dense, because it's really easy when you start elongating and turning it into an ovoid, into an oval. It's really easy to get things to look elongated. Really easy. And also just not just elongated, but make it so that things don't look like they're flat. And so you have to think really carefully how you're gonna do it. But the first time I saw this technique used was in an anime, and yes, like I said, the horizon line looked more like an oval, but it was curved. And the thing is like when you have a curved horizon line, you don't have to worry too much about that. You may say, oh well, it doesn't look realistic. Well, that's fine, because regardless of if it's realistic enough, the thing is there are camera lenses that do exactly that curve the horizon. And in that anime that I first saw this technique used, there was a jet way out here, and then it comes zooming right by, right? And the camera did this action where it just tracked the jet as it flew off into the distance, and you went literally from one horizon to the next. And you went from, like, the camera didn't really do this thing where once it reached the 90-degree point where it was perfectly plumb, like right here, it didn't do this maneuver where it rotated the camera and then continue following it. No, the camera was upside down the entire, like the camera went literally like this. Okay? It still looked phenomenal. And when I first saw that, I was just mind-boggled. I was like, how in the hell did they do that? Because here they are, they drew one background. They drew one background. And that's how they did this. And this is how they did it. They drew one background. And they were able to get a huge series of camera angles out of that one thing. So, now of course, let's say you don't have much going on inside of the scene. Let's say it was just something like, let's see, let's turn this on. Let's say it was just like a farmhouse, okay? Like a little farmhouse or something. I don't know, something like the Waltons or something. Nothing really too fancy. Let's say it was a little farmhouse. Okay, and whatever. Okay, and you know, there's like a little lake here or something like that. And let's say there's some farmland out here extending off into the distance or something like that, whatever. Like, I'm not trying to draw anything too miraculous or anything like that. Okay, you draw your horizon line. Okay, of course you do it a hell of a lot better than what I'm doing here. Alright? And let's say there's a road, a dirt road that shows up all the way through here, and let's say there's a nice looking little tree here, okay? Nice little tree, whatever. Nice little bushy tree. You can actually have a scene where, you know, the camera just goes ahead and follows your character. You know, he's just right here, and he decides to walk over here, and let's say you decide to include the horizon. And as he keeps on walking, you decide to include that horizon as the camera is moving. Let's say he leans against this tree for a moment, has a conversation with a friend or something like that, okay? He's standing there, and, you know, and then he wants to take one last, let's say he's leaving the farm, and this is his one last time to see the family and to be at the farm. He's going off to college or something, and he goes ahead and he, you know, he sees the farm one last time. He's like, gosh, I'm going to miss it. And, you know, you kind of zoom out a little bit, and you see off into the distance, you see the sunset, you know, and the bright sunset, whatever. And you have the clouds, you know, and kind of a Luke Skywalker moment where it's like, oh, I'm off to bigger, better things, but I love this place. That sort of thing. And you're totally able to do it. There's a lot of different applications for this, where the camera is able to just rotate with the camera as things are going on. And with open tunes, you can do this. You can have, like, as I'm showing you, I'm using krita, and I'm only able to pan and then rotate. With krita, you're able to rotate and pan, so this horizon would seem like it would always be at a consistent, you know, at a consistent angle. And what I mean by that is, if I were to try to show this scene here and show it off, you know, the horizon is almost vertical. It's almost vertical. It's just so you can keep it consistent like this throughout the entire time as you're able to rotate throughout the whole thing. But you want to be careful, because like, you don't want to zoom out too much if you're using this for animation. Because if you zoom out too much, you completely break the immersion. You completely show everyone how the illusion was made. You show them the like too much of the story of behind the scenes how this image was made, and you don't want to do that. You just want to show bits and pieces, and then, you know, rotate as he walks over here, and then show off this other horizon. And of course, you know, the bigger the horizon is and everything like that, the bigger the horizon is, the bigger the circle is. The less likelihood, and the more details that you put in around everywhere, the less likelihood you have of breaking the immersion. Okay? So, this is all food for thought. And these are all things that I think about every time that I tinker around with curvilinear perspective. Yeah, by the way, yeah, this is a little farmhouse, by the way. This is like, whatever, like, this is supposed to be another little rooftop and another whatever. It's nothing special, but you get the idea. So hopefully this tutorial is helpful. If you have any more questions, please leave a question. And if you're thinking about asking a question and you haven't seen my previous tutorials, watch those first before you ask the question, because I'm not gonna answer questions if this is your first video about curvilinear perspective that you've ever seen that you've ever seen from me. No, you need to go back, watch the prerequisite material in order to understand this, okay? So, anyways, please like, share, and subscribe. Have a good day. And if you didn't like it, please like, share, and subscribe anyways.